our national representatives to take it away. So Marie, and you want to be first? Okay, Marie is going to present first.
How does this sound? All right? Hi, I'm Maria Acosta, and I live in Texas. Came from Texas. I live in a small town called Cedar Park, just north of Austin. And I became involved in the Tea Party movement in 2009, just like many of you did. In those days, I was working in the high-tech industry, and I came home, I remember, on an evening in 2008, noticing that my 401k had plummeted. And I turned on the news, and I'd had my head down at work, and I asked my husband, what is going on? And the news about the stimulus package came out, and I started yelling at the television, I'm pretty sure with all of you. In April of 2009, I established a group very much like the Redlands Tea Party. It's called the Central Texas 912 Project. So many of us came to this movement through a gentleman by the name of Glenn Beck. And he was my inspiration. And we had 130 people at our first meeting in a Japanese sushi restaurant in the middle of Texas. And we immediately went to work. And we've had over 500 meetings. We meet every single Thursday and every single Saturday. We've done that for 5 years. So it is wonderful to meet with another Tea Party group and see the growth. And I'm just so honored to be here tonight. Yeah. So even though I'm a grassroots group leader and an employee of Tea Party Patriots, I have to tell you a sad fact. I'm going to admit something tonight. During the last 5 years, I've had lots of conversations with people. Conversations with people who don't agree with Tea Party priorities. In the last 5 years, I've talked to hundreds of people. And if all of those people I talked to, I can only think of one person that I think I changed her opinion about our ever-expanding federal government. One person changed their opinion for sure after talking with me. But I gotta say, when I thought about that, gosh, just one in 5 years. So I'm fessing up here. I share this with you because you may have had the same experience. During the last 5 years, we have worked so hard. We've talked about three main things the Tea Party movement has really been focused on: fiscal responsibility, constitutionally limited government, and free markets. Right? Most of you have taken those ideas and those words, and you've repeated them so many times, they're seared on your tongues. You have put them on your bumper stickers, you have put them on your Facebook pages, you've had entire events around these ideas. But sadly, many of you have had the experience that I had around our dinner table. I think it was a Thanksgiving with my own family. I had a conversation with my Aunt Jan. I said, Aunt Jan, I would love it if you would come to the Tea Party meeting with me next Thursday. We're going to have a great speaker come talk to us about our debt. And he's got some great ideas, some things that we can do. I tell Aunt Jan, Aunt Jan, did you know that we were $17 trillion in debt? Often, you've heard things like this back. I don't get involved in politics, right? Or I just don't have time. Or what my sister normally tells me, oh my gosh, I just don't want to think about that stuff. When you talk about debt, that scares me and I can't sleep. How many of you have had those conversations? And how many of you have felt frustrated because you've not found the message that reaches those normal Americans, your neighbors, your friends, the people who don't come to these meetings with you. Well, many months ago, our Tea Party Patriots local coordinators asked us to help. So leaders just like John and Carolyn and Greg asked for help all over the country. They asked us to develop positive messaging that would help them reach their neighbors' hearts and minds. So we went to work for our local coordinators, and we hired an international survey company to help us discover those critical words that would help us communicate our principles to people who may not even consider themselves Tea Party supporters. So at our 5th anniversary in Washington, D.C., we revealed our new messaging. And tonight I'm here to share this with you. Many of you may have already gotten a sneak peek, but this messaging is really important, so I wanted to talk to you about it. And we hope that those of you who lead Tea Party groups or have meetings in your homes will discuss this when you leave. We challenge you to include this new messaging in your meetings and all of your critical communications. John, Carolyn, and Greg will be working to promote these ideas across this area. So they're going to need your help. This is a really important change for us. So I'm excited to tell you about it. So if you'll advance just one slide. So here is our new logo and our new tagline. And this is important. You'll see that the shield that many of us have come to love, the red, white, and blue shield, is still there. But our new tagline underneath is "Pursue Your American Dream." These simple 4 words convey so much that appeals to Americans from east to west. What did these words conjure up in your mind? Freedom. At its root, the American dream is about freedom. The freedom to work hard and freedom to keep the fruits of your labor. In addition to our new tagline, we have 3 new guiding principles. You'll advance. And in the back, you may not be able to see these, but I'll tell you a little bit about them. So these are the principles that promote the freedom necessary to pursue your American dream. So as I mentioned before, we had fiscal responsibility, constitutionally limited government, and free markets. So we've taken our original 3 principles, and without watering them down, because we don't want to water down our message, we have found words that are more personal. Words that communicate the same ideas, but will help you find opportunities to have great conversations, because we need to have conversations with people who aren't here with us. We need to have conversations that change hearts and minds. So on our website where you saw constitutionally limited government, now you're going to see personal freedom. And you'll see messages that will help people understand what personal freedom means and where we are in this country when you're looking at our freedoms and how they're being taken away. We're hoping we're opening the door for you to have direct conversations, but not scary conversations, not conversations where people just want to cover their ears. We want you to look for opportunities to speak with people with a positive tone. And think about the people that have influenced you in your life. When we first got started with this movement, we were all angry and we were pretty nervous and scared about what we saw going on. We are now 5 years into this, and we're maturing as individuals. We've learned so much, and we're maturing as an organization. So we hope you'll take these positive and personal words. So on our website where you saw constitutionally limited government, now you will see personal freedom, and you'll see messages that help people understand the importance of defending their rights. Why should they speak up? Why should they pay attention? For example, we will speak about the importance of being able to exercise our First Amendment rights, and we had this last year, to speak out against the IRS's targeting of conservative individuals and groups. So that's one thing that we did last year that you'll probably see more from us on this year. In the past, we talked about free markets. Going forward, we're going to use the words economic freedom. Free markets, you might go down the street and talk to your neighbor, and those words might just go right over their head. There's no emotion. It doesn't make any headway with them. But economic freedom. And that's the freedom to grow jobs and the freedom to grow opportunity. We, the people in this room, are the people who hold up small business owners and their right to establish companies without unnecessary federal government regulations. We don't believe that the government should pick the winners or the losers. Am I right? And we want our government to preserve economic freedom by pursuing crony capitalists who break our laws. Where we talked about fiscal responsibility, we will now very simply talk about a debt-free future. Fiscal responsibility just, it kind of makes me feel like we're just asking people to pay their bills. It's something that's way bigger than that, as you know, since we talk about debt in this group. We want a debt-free future for you and generations to come. And I recall talking about debt in my town with our local school board, and I could see people's eyes glaze over when you talk about debt. But what really touches people's hearts is when you start talking about how this debt affects their children and their grandchildren. People want to take care of their families. And debt is suppressing our economy and job creation. We support programs like the Penny Plan. How many of you have heard about the Penny Plan? Anybody? All right. So think about, if we're focused on a debt-free future, learn more about the Penny Plan. The Penny Plan will unleash the power of the American economic engine. And the Penny Plan is a common sense solution that will cut 1 cent out of every dollar of total spending each year for 5 years. Next, it caps overall federal spending at 18% of national income. So there's 2 factoids for you there. And most importantly, how long have we been talking about baseline budgeting? This would end baseline budgeting and demand real cuts to our federal budget. And people, that's doable. In my mind's eye and in my heart, these new core values make me feel incredibly hopeful about the future of our country. Personal freedom, economic freedom, and a debt-free future. We're still in a country where active participation in our communities, in our work, make a difference. We are still people who demand the opportunity to pursue your American dream. Like me, you may have become discouraged. Sometimes you may feel like you're losing ground. But with our new messaging, things are changing. These 4 words, pursue your American dream. Those really get to the heart of what we represent in this room. We've worked so hard to get people to pay attention, and we want them to pursue their American dream. And they appeal to people across the political spectrum. So whether you're a butcher, a baker, or a candlestick maker, you and you alone are responsible and free to pursue your American dream. So what do we want from you and your wonderful groups? We want you to hold meetings and host house parties to discuss this new messaging. We want you to make specific plans around how to incorporate messaging in your events. We ask you to saturate the print media. Here, you all are media masters. So we're asking you to use this messaging to saturate the print media, the radio waves, and all conversations that you are a part of. This messaging truly describes who you are and who we are. To encourage you to have conversations with those who don't consider themselves Tea Party supporters, I have one last story for you. So when I started this conversation with you tonight, I admitted my difficulty in getting our message through to other people. Let me now tell you how things have started to change. Since using our new messaging, our new, more personal, more freedom-oriented messaging, I've made a difference. I've had productive conversations with lots of people who do not consider themselves Tea Party supporters at all, not at all. Lots of conversations, but I just want to tell you about two of them. First, a self-described liberal author from Virginia. I went to a class with her, and when she introduced herself to me, she knew I worked for Tea Party Patriots, and she looked at me with really big eyes, and she said, "Are you a Tea Party person like Sarah Palin?" I don't like Sarah Palin. And she said it just like that. The other one was with an Ethiopian cabbie in Washington, D.C., and he told me he didn't care for the Tea Party. I confidently, but with a warm tone, shared with him that we believe in freedom. And we talked about our new values, personal freedom, economic freedom, and a debt-free future, and how it impacts their lives. I was on my way from Maryland to Ronald Reagan Airport with this cabbie. I was in the car with him for about 15 minutes, and I talked to him about his business. I talked to him about his children. And when I got out of the car, he looked at me and said, "How are we going to change what's going on with our politicians?" And both of them told me, "I agree with the Tea Party." The lovely author from Virginia, she even told me as I was leaving how much she agreed, and she said, "If we don't fix our spending, our country's going to be in trouble." And I just about dropped dead. I was shocked. So sometimes we don't really think that the words we use matter, and I'm here to tell you, after 5 years and only winning one of my friends over, I feel like I'm making a difference. Our message of freedom is not Republican or Democrat, it's American. It's the message of a freedom-loving people. We must hold our elected officials from all political persuasions to stand up for our freedom. I hope these new words and our new messaging will make a difference for you. I hope they'll inspire you to discuss this during upcoming meetings and events. Will you help me make the language of freedom permeate? We want it to permeate everything we do across the country. And I look forward to hearing from you and hearing stories back from California when I go home to hear how this messaging works for you. And I thank you for your time.